Good evening. Wow, what a turnout. I would like to begin by also acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands and waters across what is now called Australia. And I pay my very deep respects to elders and cultural leaders, past, present, and emerging. So, here we are, the opening weekend of Photo 2024, and this is the final stop for me after a whirlwind of exhibition openings across the city. As the Mayor mentioned, this exhibition now forms part of a trail of 100 free exhibitions and large-scale outdoor artworks that have been installed across the streets and galleries of Melbourne, as well as 5 regional cities. It's an epic undertaking that is only possible through the deep collaboration with all our partners, all the galleries, all the artists, all the curators that have come together with this shared vision of creating a globally important celebration of photography here in Melbourne. This is our 3rd edition, and it's been a rocky start. Our very first festival was intended to be Photo 2020, and that didn't quite go according to plan. We pushed that back at the last minute and delivered it as Photo 2021, and followed up our next biennial within 1 year as opposed to 2 as Photo 2022. And here we are at Photo 2024, and the city has taken it to its heart. The crowd here is phenomenal. I have been seeing thousands of people turn out all weekend for openings, showing how deeply appreciative everyone is in the city of photography and the artists that put their heart and soul into creating this work. Each edition of the festival has one central guiding theme that every artist, every curator responds to in their artworks. At Photo 2024, the theme is "The future is shaped by those who can see it." In these turbulent times, as we've emerged from COVID, where we barely know what's happening next week, let alone next month, with so much change happening around us, both social and political and environmental, it felt pertinent to be inviting artists to show us the way. Artists and photographers who can look at the world around us and show us the possible and parallel futures that lie ahead. In this room alone, we are faced with a myriad of different challenges and hopes for the future, from human fertility rates to animal taxidermy. There are so many rich ideas that come across in these dynamic and engaging artworks. There's so much thinking, so many ideas to be explored, and this is just one of the exhibitions. So a huge congratulations to Diane and the team here, and to all the artists. I encourage you to pick up the festival map. There's some on the table at the front, and use this as the start of your exploration of a world of ideas that are being presented towards you across the city and the state. This is the first weekend of 4. Next weekend's our regional weekend, where exhibitions across the state are opening with huge international superstars like Nandor and Ryan McGinley, alongside local talents. Our 3rd weekend is the Ideas Weekend, where talks and workshops will delve into the artists' ideas. We're also launching our most ambitious event to date on Friday the 15th of March, which is the Photo 2024 Ideas Summit, taking place at the edge of Red Square, where we have artists and thought leaders from around the world flying in to tell us their ideas about the future, both the change that happens in society as well as the shifts in photography, many of which are ideas being explored by the artists in this room. And then we close the festival on the 23rd and 24th of March with our Photobook Weekend Atmosphere Content. So it really is a program spread across the city, bringing in so many voices. And what's really exciting for me is this is the first year we'll be able to have international artists come and join us alongside our local talents. So the city is awash with artists and curators going around, visiting exhibitions, connecting with the local community, really positioning Melbourne as a global hub of photographic practice. So I'll end it there, but it's now my duty to pass on to Hedy Ritterman, who will introduce the exhibition. I wish you all a wonderful evening and an inspiring and engaging Photo 2024 experience. I'll be seeing all 100 exhibitions myself in person, and I encourage you all to see as many as possible, and this is a wonderful place to start. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Elias, and congratulations on the realisation of really an epic undertaking. Amazing. And we are really thrilled to be part of Photo 2024, and thank you for including our exhibition in your extensive programming. And I also encourage everyone to explore the exhibitions around the state for the next 3 weeks. It's very exciting. And I concur with the other speakers, it's really heartening to see such a fabulous crowd here today. Thank you for supporting us and supporting the art of photography. I just want to very briefly share the genesis of this exhibition. Going back to when we embarked on the journey of becoming professional artists, most of us seek some training at specific colleges or fine arts at university. In these institutions, we have the benefits of timetables, of equipment, of mentors, of staff input, and the relationship with fellow students. But once the formal training is over, we find ourselves alone and in need of more than just the passion and desire to create. We need self-discipline to structure a practice and to find our relevance in a shared community. From my own experience after my studies, I felt very alone in a new world that felt impenetrable. So when I received a call from a fellow photography student, Georgia Metaxas, to come to her studio and meet a small group of fellow photographers, I was beyond grateful. That was in the late 1990s, 23 years ago. It was the first of our meetings. As the years progressed, new artists joined in, and yes, some left. And now we're an established group of 16 artists, known by our somewhat uninspiring name of TPG, the Photo Group. We meet regularly in each other's studios and homes. Fortified with good wine and food, we share information, exchange ideas, comment honestly on each other's work, gossip about the art world. We've become close colleagues and firm friends. Our very different backgrounds, generations, locations are brought together by a shared passion for creativity and photography. In parallel to the Photo Group, the contemporary collective, lovingly known as TCC, was formed. We felt there was a need for an independent entity that could facilitate exhibitions and forums to provide a platform for the voices of often underrepresented artists making work about important cultural issues. Our inaugural exhibition, held in this very venue 6 years ago, addressed the resilience of humans under extreme trauma, a topic that unfortunately never dates. TCC is in fact a collective of just two, Linda Vakdal and myself. I'm not actually sure if we technically qualify to be called a collective, but nonetheless we love the idea of bringing together the creative ideas of the TPG group to exhibit together for the first time after all these years. To see this harmonious outcome of 11 individual creative voices here in this exhibition as part of an international festival of photography fills us with pride and makes the long endeavour worthwhile. We would like to thank each of the artists, not just for participating in this show, but for the support and friendship over the years. We'd also like to acknowledge the contributions of the TPG artists that were unable to participate in this show. Georgia Metaxas, our instigator, Rod McNichol, Robert Ashton, Louis Porter and Shoshana Joy. Linda and I would also like to thank the tireless Diane Summers. Thank you, Diane, for diligently liaising with Photo 2024 on our behalf and for meticulously curating this show. To the City of Glen Ira team, thanks for the opportunity to use this wonderful space, and to your patient and professional install team. All the artists of the show are here today, and would you mind coming up, artists, please? Make yourself known.
Jody, everybody, Hedy, wherever you are.
Please feel free to chat with us, and or take the opportunity to hear us talk more formally on the weekend of the 16th and 17th of March, and perhaps come again to view the work that applies to the situation. The lovely Leora is over there somewhere for TCC, should you wish to acquire any of the thought-provoking works that are for sale here, and there's a room sheet somewhere there with the details of that. And now, for the taller half of the collective, here's Linda.
Thank you, Hedy, my colleague, my collaborator, comrade in arms, and friend. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Associate Professor Dr. Alison Inglis, OAM, Honorary Fellow in the Art History and Art Curatorship Program at the University of Melbourne. A distinguished academic, Alison is an expert in 19th century art and museum studies, especially the history of Australian art museums and exhibitions, and has served on the board of several institutions, including the NGV, Museums Victoria and Hedy Museum of Modern Art. She is a highly respected figure in the Australian cultural landscape, and we are thrilled that she has kindly agreed to cast her experienced and finely tuned eye over our exhibition. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you, Linda, for that very generous opening introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here and invited to speak at what is the commencement weekend of Photo 2024, the International Festival of Photography, and as we've heard, Australia's largest biennial event in this medium. I'd also like to join my other speakers in acknowledging that we're meeting here on the lands of the Eastern Kulin Nation, and I also pay my respects to their elders and community. Now, this year, as we've heard, it's a remarkable achievement. Over 100 art installations taking place across this city and also throughout the regions. And it includes in its program this important survey exhibition, The Edge of Elsewhere, which includes over 40 works by 11 leading contemporary photographers who, as we've heard, make up the photo group, TPG, that a collective established in the 1990s, some time ago now. This exhibition brings their work together for the first time really as a group presentation, and reflects their shared concern for environmental and societal degradation in the face of the looming climate catastrophe. It's intended to trigger conversations around the fragility of our world and the consequences of our actions in the future. These evocative, thought-provoking and sometimes confronting images clearly speak for themselves, but I'd like to make a very few comments on some of the shared threads I see as underpinning the presentation. And I particularly want to congratulate the curator, Diane Summers, and the artists on the very subtle pairing of the works within this installation and the wonderful complementary and contrasting energies they set up. This idea of oppositions and interplay, I think, is an important theme throughout this exhibition. And some of those polarities, for instance, are the tension between the organic and the man-made. So, for instance, the Hedy Ritterman's beautiful installation, when you go round that wall in that closed space over there to my right, you see these wonderful flower-like cords reaching up from this nest of plastic roots below into this beautiful, elegant flowering. It's been compared to an ikebana installation, but of course it's entirely the creation of man-made objects. They have their own internal life. At the same time, that life is artificial. We also see with Paula Marnie's very beautiful burning of her heirlooms within the countryside, the Australian countryside. Again, what she wants to set up is a ritual lamentation of our past sins. But also, I think it hints at really the destructive force of wildfires in the future if we don't actually change our ways. So again, both a hope and also a cautionary tale within the work. We also, of course, have the magnificent Ponch Hawkes' powerful comparison in her work, Beautiful Plastics, where these images of the plastic in their original state have this fantastic, almost pop art life to them, but they're set against, and it's an after and before, they're set against these rather sad, dull, degraded landscapes in which the plastic is playing a toxic life. Another tension within the works can be that between the exterior and the interior life. So, for instance, Linda Wachtel's portraits with their slightly disturbing in vitro overlay, we get this interesting thing between the composure and confidence of the portraits against this internal, really scientific imaging that we can only capture with the most progressive technology we have. So we have the humanity of the portraits against the hope they have through the in vitro fertilization process. But at the same time, in some images, there's almost that slight sense of a future in which the human and the machine come together in some sort of slightly strange cyborg entity. So they both attract and slightly disturb as we look at them. Again, Virginia Stebart's wonderful video in the room next door, with again this idea of an interior, her own subjective life, her moods and responses to her personal situation, and the exterior play of the sensation of movement within the train. It's a very poetical work, and also that idea of the play of time and the role of the now against the future, again present in so many of the works. You've also got Jacqueline Felsted's meditation on the Gatwick Private Hotel, fabulous montage works where her play of positive and negative spaces is her trying to evoke the absent subjects that have been evicted from the hotel. We've also got a strong element of the theme of reality versus artifice, especially seen in these fantastic images of animals on my right. You get Josie Hutchinson's Lost Ones, where the quizzical pathos of the koala's expression reflects on this sort of false Frankensteinian life. It's the man-made process of taxidermy which is giving it its life. And of course, with mass extinctions, these stuffed animals may be all we have left. Or Claudia Terstephen's fabulous Afterlife, where the power of photography, almost its hyper-reality, means these poor victims of roadkill live on in all their beauty, but of course we know that they are lifeless shells. Artifice and reality is also reflected in a different way in the jewel-like photo montage of Julie Shields, where the imagined wastelands of old master paintings are captured by her, again in these wonderful glowing light boxes where she suggests they almost give us a hint of our own new climate realities. She's picked images that show drought and flood and wasteland. Another thread, my final one I'm going to mention in this exhibition, is the process of photography itself and how it can shed light on our current environmental dilemmas. So you have the wonderful backyard grasslands of Diana Wells, where she turns to 19th century photographic processes like cyanotypes to use them to show a sustainable organic process to assemble her biolab of grasslands within her inner city backyard. And lastly, Kirsty McAfee's, I really advise you, I strongly recommend you look at her wonderful video that shows her actually constructing this extraordinary, I imagine the edge of elsewhere. It's the installation in the centre of the room, and it's made up really of data she's captured from her fellow artists' works online using an AI sort of platform. She's then printed out the inkjet prints, which she has woven together using traditional, weaving and then wrapping them around machinery, which she's created from photographic reflector equipment. I'm not doing justice to the process, but it's an extraordinary work with this fascinating backstory. But if you don't know that, you look at this wonderful weaving organic entity that is post-photography, full of humanity and yet also utterly technologically based. It sums up that interesting tension, that realm of the positive and the negative, of the possibilities and the cautionary elements that underpin this exhibition. So these words invite, in fact I would say they seriously require us to look at them carefully. They reflect serious issues and they're being addressed imaginatively and provocatively by some of our finest contemporary photographers. Your careful study of this remarkable exhibition will be well rewarded, and I'm delighted to declare it open. Thank you.